So tonight's topic is on tantrums. And I've gotten a lot of DMs from you about all the different types of scenarios, and I will go through that. So basically, I want to say that tantrums are completely normal, and all kids go through it, and it's actually really good for them. It's annoying as a parent to have to deal with it, or a caregiver, but it's emotionally it's appropriate for them, and they need to learn how to develop their emotional regulations and how to control a situation, and it just sets them up for being a good person in life, basically, as long as you teach them how to do it. So there are 3 different kinds of tantrums. The first is what I call the 7 dwarves tantrum. That I'm hungry, I'm sleepy, I'm sneezy and sick, I don't want to deal with anything, and I'm just going to put you through hell because I feel like it. There's not much you can do as a parent to prevent those type of tantrums, but I will walk you through on how to handle them. The second type of tantrum is one where they just want something and you don't want them to have it. And that's just really about control, and that's really important for them because they're trying to have a sense of autonomy as a toddler, which is important. And then the third type of tantrum is the trivial, irrelevant, you peeled my banana and I wanted to peel it myself. And how are you supposed to predict that as a parent or a caregiver? You're not. So I will go through and tell you how to prevent these type of tantrums and then how to handle them when you can't prevent them. So the first way to prevent tantrums, typically tantrums occur when you're transitioning from one situation to another, like it's time for bath, or it's time for dinner, or we need to leave to go to school, or whatever, something like that. And your child doesn't want to do that. So how do you prevent it? If you know your child has difficulties with transitions, or even if your child doesn't, it's important to make the transition fun. Like, let me give you an example. If you were taking a nice relaxing bath and your husband came in and said, you need to come in and watch this news story with me, I'd say, F you, I want to stay in my bath. Or if you called your husband and he was out with his buddies and said, you need to come home to change our kid's diaper, they'd say the same thing. They wouldn't want to transition from what they were doing. Neither does a child. So what do you do in that scenario? You want to make it fun. So you want to have transitional songs, transitional characters, like when I'm saying, it's time for bath, guys, let's hop to our bath and pretend we're a frog and we're gonna hop over there, Maybe if you're Melanie, like Fit Mama for 3, you're gonna do that, but me being nauseated, I usually tell my kids lately that we're gonna pretend that we're snails and we're gonna crawl to the bath because I'm exhausted. So luckily my kids are really into snails right now because ever since it's been raining, it was raining a little bit, there's a lot of snails out. So they've been liking it. Or you can pretend that you're a horse and you're going to be a cowboy and you're going to gallop to the bath. And it makes it more fun to transition so they don't feel like they're missing out on what they're doing. That's one way. And then you can do some songs. You can say, we're going to, I'm not the best singer, so I'm not going to put you through that, but you can make up, some kind of fun song. We're going to brush our teeth now, and how do we do it? We're going to brush, brush, brush. You can make up anything. Kids are indifferent, and they're actually not, they don't judge you on your voice until they get a little bit older, luckily. My son judges me now because he's older. Anyways, so with the type of tantrum when they're just freaking out, and they start, screaming, and they're hungry or tired or whatever, the way to approach that, one, is to try to remain calm, which is not always easy because it's frustrating, but you want to be as patient as you can, and I get it, we're not always patient. I'm not always patient. I have my moments where I break down. But if you have those moments where you break down, that's a great, way to teach your kids. So that's one thing I really tell parents is model this behavior for them. So when you are having a crappy day and you're mad, let them know that you're mad and say, like I said the other day, I'm really feeling mad right now. I'm going to need to take a break and I need to calm my body down before I can talk to you guys. And my kids look at me like I'm crazy sometimes. And my son will say, "Are you okay?" And I'll say, "I can't talk right now. I'm going to splash some water on my face, or I need to sit down and take a few breaths because I need to calm my body down." And that's okay for them to see, and you want them to see that because then it's modeling the behavior for them. And it's letting them know that when they get mad, they can take a break and they can calm themselves down. So that's one way to do it. When you're in the moment of the tantrum and they are kicking and screaming, there's a few things to keep in mind. The age of the child is one important factor. Sorry, nausea. The age of the child is one important factor. Their like maturity level is another, and your surroundings, like your environment, where your child is in their room, making sure it's a safe room or a safe area. So if your child is about 2.5 and younger, I'd say, then you want to be with them when they're having their tantrum. Up until around 2.5 or 3, just depends on your child and knowing your child and how they will be. So when I say be with them, you're going to sit right with them when they're having their tantrum and breaking down. You don't want to walk away. That doesn't make it worse, and you're like giving in to the attention. It's not there. You need to make sure you're there. You don't need to stare at them and keep saying, "Are you okay?" Or "What can I do?" Don't do that. Remain calm and say, "I see that you're mad. When you calm down, then I can talk to you." Simple, clear, to the point. You're not yelling, and you're being patient. Also, with a child that young, sometimes they just want to be hugged while they're having their tantrum, and that's okay. You can ask them, "Do you want me to hug you while you take time to calm your body down?" And sometimes they'll want you to do that, and that's okay. You can hug them and let them calm themselves down. If not, they want to stay in their spot, that's fine. If they want to keep moving, that's when you're going to say to them, "I'm going to take your body and put you back." Oh, it's back. So when they try to move from the spot that you put them in, that's when you say to them, "I'm going to take your body and put you back on the couch because it's my job to keep you safe and I don't want you getting hurt." And then remind them, "Let me know when your body is calm and then I can talk to you. I can't talk to you when you're screaming." Very to the point. You're not saying, "Oh, honey, I'll talk to you when you're calm." That doesn't work. To the point, you're not yelling, but you're stern. And then just move them back to the couch and keep moving them. And then sometimes if they're moving from the area or wherever you put them too much, sometimes that's your sign that they want to have a hug. And you can say, "I can give you a hug right now while you take your time to calm down." Then let them calm. Now, the important thing is when they're calm and they finally calm, it can take 20 minutes, it can take 40 minutes. I did a tantrum with my daughter yesterday that was 20 minutes long because she hit her brother, and she's much stronger than she thinks she is, but it was just a little pat, and it's not okay. So I need to teach her that that's not okay, that we don't do that. And I needed her to ask him if he was okay and see if he needed an ice pack, and she did that once she was calm, but it took about 20 minutes. But she just wanted a hug about halfway through, and so we hugged it out and let her calm down. And then when she's calm, then I explained to her, "I see that your body is calm. We need to talk about what you did. We don't hit people because that hurts. We don't hit anybody. I need you to ask your brother if he's okay and if he needs an ice pack. But it's my job to make sure you're a good person. Mommy loves you, I love you, and I'm gonna give you a hug." And you hug them. So you always wanna have closure to your tantrum session. You don't wanna just end it like, "Okay, fine, you're done." Because there's no closure for them, so they don't feel as good. So let's go to the other side, the older child. Now, your older child can get more intense. And I mean, a younger child too can. I've got some DMs about like hitting and biting, and we'll get to that. So with your older child, you can leave them in a room that's safe, making sure that everything's bolted. Can you repeat that, please? And thank you. I'm not sure what you want me to repeat, but I will post this, and it will save so you can just watch it again. And anyway, so for the older child, what you want to do is, for like my 3-4-year-old kid and up, you need to give them time to calm down where they can be in their own space. So put them in their room, make sure everything's bolted. You close the door, and you say, or before you close the door, you say, I need you to calm your body down. When you're calm, we can talk about what's going on. But right now, I can't understand you. Close the door. Now, what happens if they start kicking the door down and, going crazy and like getting like really rough, which has happened with my son. Everybody thinks my son doesn't tantrum, but he does. That's when you open the door and say, I need to move your body to keep you safe. I can't have you hitting the door because you will hurt yourself. And move him away from the door, and then say, I'm going to leave you alone until you calm your body down, and then we can talk. Close the door. If they're slamming the doors, you open the door and say, I can't have you slamming the door because you're going to hurt yourself. I'm going to put you on the couch, and I will close the door, and then leave. And then check in with them, and then it helps if you have a monitor in the room. I like to spy on my kids still because I think it's not really spying when they're that young. And I'm watching them from the monitor and seeing how they're doing it. How do you move them when they're dead waiting? Like, it makes the situation worse. Look up exercises from Fit Mama for 3 and work out more. I don't know. When they're dead waiting, you can let them stay there and sit with them, depending on the age of the child. Or I'll just pull them and say, I'm going to pull you over here because I need you to be in an area that's safe. And right here, it's not safe. If it's a wood floor, I want them to be on a carpet or a rug, or on a couch so that they're safe. So that's what you do with the 4-year-old, and you check in and you say, are you calm yet? If they're not, let them have their time to freak out, and if I have to do something, like, things are just going to get put on hold. Like, dinner is going to get put on hold, unfortunately, because I have to address it. But at that point, after the tantrum's over, he'll know that, like, he ran out of time for books because his tantrum lasted for so long. And that's okay. He'll get his books tomorrow, and it's another day. So I'm going to go back. There's some more questions about if they tantrum in the store. Okay, so if they tantrum in public, that's another tantrum. I guess that's a 4th tantrum because I didn't address that one. So you want to prepare your child before going out. When you're going out, you want to make sure they're not going to be hungry, they're not going to be tired, you have snacks for them, and prepare them for the situation and what's going to happen and what your expectations are. So I explained to my kids, even before we go to the grocery store, I'm going to tell them, we're going to the grocery store, I'm going to need you to sit in the cart, because I can't have you running around because I can't watch you at all times if you're running around while I'm looking for food. But I would love to have you help me, and I'm going to give you some different things where you can help, putting things in the cart and helping me find things in the store. I'm going to provide a snack for you. And then when I need you, then when we need to go home, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put our groceries in the car, and we're going to get in the car and leave. If they start to act out, and do give them a warning, and I say, I really need you to listen to me. If you're not able to calm your body down, then we're going to need to take a break. And I've literally left a grocery cart, and I've picked them up, and we've gone outside, and then we have our break outside and let them scream. And if people look at you, then you say this, because it's called being a parent, and that's what happens. And you let them have their break, and you take them outside to calm down. If they're not able to calm down, then they're not really able to be out. And it stinks, but you can't get your errand done. You're just going to have to do it at a different time. And that's when you take them home and let them scream in the car. And when they're calm, then you talk about what happened and say, I understand that you were really upset, and you wanted to stay, but when you're acting like that and you're not calm, we can't go out and do errands. We can't go to the grocery store. I can't have you come with me like that. I need your body to be calm, and it's fine to take breaks, and we can take breaks, but I need you to be calm so we can talk about it. And that's how you deal with it. I think I've addressed everything. So now I'm going to go through, because I think there was a ton of questions. So I'm going to go through all from the top. I hope that was helpful. All right. Okay, here are the questions. You look great in those glasses. Oh, thank you. I couldn't find my other pair. All right. Right now, I let my daughter help clean her room with me because she was about to cry and said, I want to help mommy. Let's sing. So she started singing the cleanup song. That's great. You know, you want to pick your battles with your kids. Like someone DM'd that, you know, their child wanted to hold the probiotics bottle and they didn't want them to hold the probiotics bottle because it would spill everywhere. That's when you can say, it's not about saying like, I need to keep you safe. It's about saying, I need to hold that bottle so it doesn't spill, but I can give you a different bottle to hold. And if they break down, they break down. That's fine. It's a great learning moment, and all tantrums are learning moments. But pick your battles. Like, if they want to hold a dirty sponge, let them hold the sponge. Like, what's the big deal? As long as they're not putting it in their mouth, pick your battles. All right, next question. I have an almost 9-year-old who will have tantrums like a 2-year-old. How can I deal? So with a 9-year-old, it's similar to like the 4 or 5-year-old that I was saying. Let them have their breakdowns, but I would want to ask some more questions about that if they're having any difficulties in school, if they're feeling behind, or if they're having any signs of depression or anxiety, or having difficulties with friends. So I'd really want to talk to their teachers, because as a 9-year-old, it's not typical to have that kind of emotional dysregulation at that age. So I'd want to know what else is going on. You can DM me and I can talk to you more about that as well. Please upload this and save it. I will make sure to upload it and save it for 24 hours, and then I'll put it on my Facebook page as well. Okay. Slamming the doors, I talked about that. How do you move them when they're dead weight? I talked about that. You can just kind of slide them across the floor. I talked about a public tantrum already. If they start the tantrum right when we walk in the store, do I go home? That's someone's responding. If they start the tantrum right when we walk in the store, I go home. So I wouldn't go home right when they walk in. I would let them know, like, we can have a break and try to take the break to see if they can calm down, to give them a chance, because sometimes they just need that moment to, like, talk through it, or, you know, scream for a minute and then calm down, and then you can go back to your errand. Okay. All right. Oh, more. What do you do when your toddler pulls your arm and your pants when he wants your attention? Well, I'll bend down and I'll squat down to their level, to their eye level, and I'll say, it hurts, mommy, when you pull on my pants, but you can call my name and say mommy if you need something. If none of that works, do you ever discipline? For example, put them to bed, take away a toy, no dinner, if tantruming at dinner. So no, not at this age. I don't believe in that type of discipline for taking things away, because children don't quite get it. I like to do more positive reinforcement. So I don't call it a timeout, but this is technically a timeout. But I don't like the negative connotation that a timeout refers to. That's why I call it a break, because we all need breaks in life, and they're not doing anything wrong. They're, you know, as far as the hitting, it's really just an emotional dysregulation. You know, if they are hitting you, I didn't address that, I don't think. That's when you can hold them down and say, I'm holding your body down because I can't have you hit, because that hurts me. When you stop hitting, I will let go. So I don't actually do the discipline in terms of taking things away. It just doesn't work, and it doesn't pay off in the long run. But that being said, I will say, if a tantrum is lasting too long, I will say we ran out of time, so we won't have enough time to have 3 books. That's what I do with my son. We have 3 books at night that are just for him. And I will say we ran out of time, so we can only have time for 2 books or 1 book or whatever it is. And so that way he sees that there is a consequence, but it's not a bad thing. It's not like, I'm taking away your books. It's, we ran out of time because the tantrum lasted a long time, and that's okay. You know, we have to learn how to calm our bodies down, but because of that, we only have time for 2 books. But I wouldn't make it like such an extreme thing, not at this age. How do you handle the I hate you response? Then I would tell them that's not a word we use, and that's not a nice word. and say we don't use those words. And then I would address it not during a tantrum. So I would talk to them and say, I want to talk to you about some words that I've been hearing you use lately, like I hate you. That's a word that we don't use. Can you tell me where you heard it from? So I'd want to know if they're hearing it from parents, from school, from friends. And then I'd want to talk to the teacher and see if they've heard it on the playground, what they're doing to address it, and talk to them. But really just reinforce that that's a word that we don't use. Just like if they were to say the F word, I'd say that's a word that we don't use. But really reinforce with the I hate you that it's not kind, and we want to make sure that we're a kind person. Like you wouldn't want someone saying that to you. Is a break equal to timeout? Yeah, so basically it is, but it's a different way of phrasing it. So it's a more positive spin on it. But the difference with a break is, to your child, it seems like it's okay. Like it's a good thing to have a break. Like even moms have a break. All right, how about when a 3-year-old says you are stupid when he doesn't get his way? I would squat down and say, that's not a nice word to use, but I understand that you're mad when, they say they want to play a game and they need to go do something else. I understand you're mad, and then go through the steps that I talked about. And then once they're calm and they're, you end the break and you say, I love you, then you say, we need to talk about the word that you use that said stupid. That's a word that we don't use, that it's not a kind word. And then I want to review the same things. Where did they hear that word from? And make sure that they understand that it's not a word that we use in our house or anywhere, because it doesn't make us a good person, and no one wants to hear that word. You can say, and give your child the language that they can use. You can say, I'm really mad, or I don't want you to talk to me right now, or I want a break. And let them know that that's okay to do. At what age do you do negative reinforcement if positive isn't working? If you can give me an example of why the positive isn't working, like taking a break, I'd say it's more for an older child, at least 6 or 7, probably, and depending on their maturity level. So that's why I don't always like to put an age on it, just because it really depends on your child. But you can DM me, and if the positive reinforcement isn't working, then we can walk through different ways of working on it. Thank you for all your advice. My son is 5, and when he doesn't get a toy in the store, he pushes the stroller with his baby sister in it at the store. I'm assuming he's pushing the stroller in defiance to what you're doing. That's when you can squat down and say, I know you want the toy, but we're not going to get a toy every time we come to the toy store. We can take a break right now, or we can go home. And let him choose. If he's going to freak out, that's when you ask for help from the person at the store, or you put the stroller in a brake and you walk to the car and you brake the stroller, put the brake on the stroller, put your older one in the car as well as you can, and say, we're going to have to take a break, we need to go home, or we'll take a break, let them have their break in the car, or let them scream all the way home and put your other one in the car too and get them both home because they just weren't ready. But that's more about really prepping them before they go to a store with you, letting them know, we're going to this toy store, we're just going to be looking, or we're getting a toy for someone for whose birthday it is, making sure you understand that you may look at all the toys, but we're not going to be buying any toys. What has worked with my daughter is just telling her she is not getting a toy today, but we can go see them and play with them for a little bit and then put them back. So yeah, preparing them and letting them know that beforehand is a lot easier for kids if you prepare them, because if you know what's going to happen, you have those expectations. How do you handle whining at 4 years old? So whining at any age really. I say, I see you're whining. That's not something we do. If you're tired, that means that when you're whining, that means to me that you're tired, and that's okay. Let me know if you want to go take a nap. Otherwise, we can stop whining. And I would say 9 times out of 10, a child will stop whining because they don't want to go take a nap. And one of those times, they'll probably say they're tired. And if they keep whining, you can say, I think it's time for a nap. Let's go upstairs and lay down. And that's what you do. All right, I think I answered all the questions. I hope you guys found that helpful. I'll make sure to save this and post it on my Instagram page, and then I'll save it because it only saves for 24 hours, and I'll put it on my Facebook page. Have a good night. Bye.